How did you manage to get both a ball and a feather in your mouth? I had this installed over on my pallet composting setup. I was thinking it would look good atop this gate leading into the chicken coop. My chickens like older bananas. Check it out. So I've got a few updates I want to share with you guys real quick. The first one being right here on the edge of this hugelkultur mound. You can see we've got these little sticks poking up everywhere. These were longevity spinach plants that once they had died back with the colder weather, as soon as you get to frost temperatures, they die. Cut those back about a few inches above the surface. And you can see right here, we've got some longevity spinach, again, starting to reemerge. If you're not yet growing longevity spinach, I'd highly recommend you give it a try. If not as a perennial, as an annual. It's just a wonderful green vegetable that does very well, doesn't bolt throughout the hot summer months. And then over here on the edge of the hugelkultur, we've got, of course, the Dino tree kale, which is in bloom at the moment. There are many, many florets and seed heads developing on this plant. But something else really amazing about this plant is that it's actually grown a couple babies or pups. Both this plant here and then now a new one just started to emerge right here are both growing from the base of the main stalk. So literally went from just one monster plant here to a new baby coming up. Oh, actually there's another one back over here. So there's 3 more coming up here. In all my years of growing different varieties of tree kale, tree collards, I've never seen that. I have seen with the purple tree collards how if you do bury the stalk, it'll begin to send roots down into the ground. And we've got bees all over the yellow flowers here on the purple tree collard. They were the first one to bloom. Behind the purple tree collard we have the abundant tree kale, and this stuff is looking more and more like a broccoli kale hybrid to me. I've already been plucking off some of these florets and eating these, just like you would broccoli. Tastes very similar, but I think I'm going to reconsider the different benefits to the abundant tree kale and include one of them being a broccoli alternative. We've got some flowering here on the pineapple quince. And I wanted to give you guys an update on the Florida King Peach. If you've been following along, you know this tree went into bloom first and we got hit by some freezing temperatures there for over the course of a couple weeks. We had gotten all the way down to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, as I had mentioned earlier. And I did an overhead watering technique during the freezing temperatures, which iced the plant and in effect protected the blossoms from dying back. And as a result now, we've got little peaches and I'm actually getting ready to do some thinning now on this tree. There's probably about 400 or 500 fruits being set on this tree at this time. Because of the scale of the tree, the size that I'm keeping it at, I only want this tree to maybe bear 100 fruit. And the reason for the aggressive thinning is that I want this tree to be able to utilize all of its energy to fully mature the remaining 100 or so fruits I leave on the tree, so we can have a nice balanced tree with a healthy fruit set and nice large peaches. And here's something else I wanted to share with you. Last year I planted a couple sugar canes out here in this far corner of the garden. Didn't get much attention, definitely didn't get enough water, but the plant still grew up a little over 3 feet tall. And it did die back in the winter, but now we've got some nice green healthy shoots beginning to re-emerge from the center of the plant. There's another one over here. Getting the same results, the plant coming back. So I'm going to be pruning this plant back of all the dead growth and give this plant a bunch of water, maybe a little bit of fertilizer. And there you go, sugarcane perennializing here in Zone 9B, surviving winter temperatures to come back. And hopefully we'll get some nice mature specimens this year and a good harvest of some sweet sugarcane. The black Tartarian cherry is now blooming like crazy. It's looking really good, like we're going to get a nice cherry harvest this year. My honeyberry plant over here, which has been in the ground for a couple years now, is going into flower. This plant is a honeysuckle, as evident by the flowers, and this is a native to the northern hemisphere. It does appreciate cooler climates, but there's probably, I don't know, a couple dozen flowers on here. The honeyberry does like winter chill hours in excess of 1,000, and on a normal year we should hit 1,000, but I don't think we came close to that number this year. Not quite sure how many chill hours we ended up with, but it was a relatively mild winter. So we'll see if we end up with any fruit, but the plant itself is looking very healthy. And this new honeyberry I just plugged in this year is now starting to flush out new growth. The plum and the plumcot tree are looking very happy in harmony there. Full bloom. Santa Rosa plum is actually post bloom at this point. Still a bunch of viable flowers, but it's pushing out the foliage. The plumcot is just in full bloom. Over here next to the fence, we've got a wild plum, which grew back from the rootstock. When we first arrived here, the plant was cut back to the ground, and all of this is new growth. I don't worry on thinning it out or anything like that. I do a little bit of management, but mostly we use this as an ornamental. Really beautiful. Puts off an abundance of very small fruit because we don't do any thinning, and the fruit is tart, like you would expect a wild plum to be. Yesterday I spent quite a bit of time removing all of those blackberry vines from the back fence there. That was quite the project, but I was able to get that taken care of. The fence itself is leaning towards the berries because the vines of those berry shrubs have literally pulled the fence down. There's virtually no way to straighten it at this point, so I'm thinking of different ways to deal with this for the future. As long as I do a pretty heavy pruning each year, I'm able to keep it in check, not, spreading into my yard. I did pull out probably a couple dozen roots where the tips of the plant had touched the ground. But looking at the positives, those berry shrubs get loaded with bees when they do go into flower. And I believe it has a fungal disease of some sort because it hasn't bared fruit the last couple of years, and that's usually the cause. But it provides plenty of habitat for bees and birds. So I have a couple of things in mind. One idea I have is to build a cinder block wall back here. This is like the most southern facing point of the property. So that would mean that if I had a cinder block wall here, it'd be retaining all the heat from the sun and radiate that out to the area. I could plant, some subtropical species, maybe a mango or something back here. See if I can create a nice little microclimate. So I'm hoping that I'm able to do that in the near future. But for right now, I'm just still looking at this, trying to figure out what I want to do. And there's a lot more I could share with you guys right now. We've got an overcast day, and I'm going to take advantage of it and keep busy out here. I've got quite a bit that I'm working on at the moment, many different open projects. Still plugging many plants into the ground. Overcast day is perfect for it. So I just wanted to check in with you guys, give you a few updates, and hope you're having a great weekend. I'll be talking to you again real soon. Take care.